Hey guys, so November favorites. And I'm going to burn some Palo Santo for you and me to benefit us. So I'm going to show you the tarot and oracle decks I've been using a lot over the past month. And also one reason I got a little, I haven't been around so much is that my mom had a stroke at the beginning of November, and that totally rocked my world. Luckily, she's doing great, and she's recovering like completely, and she's very, very lucky, and we're very blessed that she's been able to heal so well. But it was so overwhelming. Oh my gosh, like something happening to my mom. It's like like when you have that figure in your like a mother figure in your life who's like the rock, right? She's the rock, and if anything happens to her, you're like, what do we do? So that's one reason why I was kind of like MIA. So anyway, but yeah, she's doing much better now. We had a wonderful Thanksgiving with all the family, and yeah, so I'll show you what is going on in my spiritual realm. So quite a few things. I wanted to also mention, I mentioned it in my Insta stories, the Indigo Desert Moon. She's on Etsy I think she's from New Mexico. She makes amazing incense and loose incense for burning and like the little charcoal burners, and which was the first time I've ever tried those, and I really like it. It's very intense, but I love it for, like one day a week. And I've bought smudges from her in the past and loved them, but I ended up getting some of her handmade incense sticks, and I have loved every single one of them. Dragon's Blood they're all beautiful, but yeah, amazing stuff. So in her resins, and yeah, I've been very much enjoying those in my home. So alright, so that's burning, and I'm going to also say I have used 3 crystals primarily. This one has my Angelite, this big old pump, which actually is my mom's. I take it from her. She knows, but yeah. I was like, Mom, I have to have this crystal. This huge Angelite, and I have been using that one most of the year either way, but I have these 2 new ones, a big old moonstone, which I don't know if it's going to capture it really well. It does have some fire in it, like a labradorite does. A little bit, but and then this thing, the lapis, which I think I did mention, but anyway, these 2 I've been using primarily, like this lapis I've been using the most, and it is gorgeous. But yeah, still been using just those 3. I've kind of just pared it down to like essentials, and if I'm gonna like take one and put it in my pocket or something like that. So anyway, so that has crystals, and yeah, I have been doing, I have been able to do a couple readings, or over the last 2 months, I've been doing a lot more heavy readings, and I've been trying out different readings for people as well, and seeing what works. And so the ones I've been really sticking with, especially with people like, like first time customers, I usually will tend to stick with in this case, this month, or last month in November, I stuck with the Star Tarot, which I did do a very, very poor job, I will admit, a very poor job cutting off the borders, but those borders were, I know Ethany, cut her borders off too, and I do prefer it without the borders. I wish it was bigger cardstock and maybe like a minimal border, so at least I could see the titles, but either way, I was like, it's worth it, I don't regret it. Other than I'm not very good with it, but look how beautiful this is. This has been good as an all-rounder, for all the questions. I just used it for everything. I got amazing messages. I felt like it just, there was never a shortage of messages coming through with it. So for others, yes, and I love how colorful it is. It's like almost like 80s style. That's the World card. So beautiful. But yeah, I wish it was bigger, and I'm not crazy about Schiffer Publishing's. They do great printing of books, but their cards, it's like it leaves something to be desired, but that's okay. I'm just glad that this deck is in the world because it is gorgeous. Like, look at that Lovers card. Oop. So I found it was very romantic. It's a very romantic deck. It's like the Queen of Pentacles. Excuse the glare, it's the gloss. But and then the other one I have used a lot of is the Lumina. This is a second edition, which one of my girlfriends who's she's another Reiki healer, she hadn't been into tarot before, and so she was in town, so I was like, look at all my decks, you know, and I let her play, you know, I gave her some to use, and she ended up falling in love with Lumina out of all of them. So I was like, if in case anyone needs a recommendation, she just thought, you know, it's like, it's beautiful. It is just absolutely beautiful, and I use this one heavily as well. I use this one a lot for others as well as myself. I just find it, you know, the messages are always so good, and it's like Old Faithful. They're just the Star Tarot and Lumina. You know you're gonna get a good reading. And with that said, also I still use the Connected and Free Oracle, Alchemist Oracle by Inner Hue as well with the Lumina. So they go. This deck has been. I've used this one a lot for myself personally, as well as I haven't been able to do a lot of tarot readings for myself lately. So, but when I have had the time, I've used this and the I don't have the deck on hand, but the Sacred Creators Oracle by Chris Ann. I'm like, this thing, I have used this all year long, and I use this for others, and it's always freaking amazing for others. And whether or not it's a business question, but obviously if it is a business related question, I use it very heavily. Oh, the other one was the it was a really big business spread I did for a customer or a client. I used a mix between the Connected and Free Oracle and the Color Gypsy. She's on Instagram, Color Gypsy's Color Oracle as well. I found that worked really well all together. And another one, which I hadn't used in a while, I pulled out was the Tarot of the She. And I know it's backwards, so, but this is also Schiffer Publishing, and I kept the borders on this one, but I did black out the edges. But this deck, I felt called to pull it out, and it's always been intense. And what was it? The Ten of Swords. When I first got this deck and I was using it a lot, that card would follow me. And of course, when I pulled it out again, that card was following me again. I get beautiful cards as well and really pretty messages and, you know, and all that, but it always loves to throw in like my worst nightmare. I'm trying to find that Ten of Swords. Yeah, this, that's a beautiful card right here. This is Escaping Stagnation. Of course it's not going to pop out. It just follows me everywhere. It's just not going to come out right now. But, yeah, there's like 2 or 3, like, scary cards that they're kind of scary. But otherwise, this is a, I love this one too. It's a magical deck. It always has. It doesn't come out a lot, but I would not get rid of this deck. I don't think you really. I love this Hangman. The messages in the guidebook too, they're like short and to the point, but it's especially for the minors, it's actually it's like a phrase kind of, and you can, like, if you do like a 3-card reading, you just link all the phrases together and you can get like a little poem for yourself in a reading. I always have enjoyed that. So that's the Tarot of the She. I have used this one for others, but I just used it for myself a lot in November as well. And comes in a nice box, which we like. And then another one, which so this one, the Chez Monet, and you're not gonna be able to see, yeah, but I've had a lot of people ask me about this on my tarot deck collection I did earlier in the year, and this is one that Avalon talked about, you know, just like is in her non-traditional decks that she would recommend you know, like for this one being like a really good subconscious moon reading. And I just want to say, I got this at the same time as Gypsy Palace, as my two crazy intuitive, very intuitive decks. And it's, you know, this deck, I'll say, if you get it, just pull a card and read the guidebook, and you'll be, if you're not blown away, I'll be shocked how profound this is. And I have actually used it for others, but mostly this is just for myself. It's one of those decks I'm just like, I can use it for others, but I just don't feel like I have a big enough grasp of the whole deck yet, because it's that like deep, very deep, like very lots of esoteric meaning behind all the cards. Obviously mundane as well, you know, can be cover mundane things as well, but the when you read the book, you'll see there's a lot of and it's very short and to the point as well. It's not a big guidebook, but you know, it's just a little book, and it's got color representation of the cards as well. Yeah, it's short and to the point, but profound, and it's not, no word is wasted. But yeah, this is, I like how also it's a little deck, but and it shuffles very, very easily. And it's a little bit more on the expensive side. This is the only card the full card that's colorless, so it's got all the potential. But yeah, very esoteric. So like spiritual questions, subconscious matters, inner world. Like obviously every tarot deck can kind of like work with those kind of questions, but this one has just, I've pulled it out quite a bit for myself. I was just like, you know what, I need something deeper. I need to dig deeper into certain issues. So that one has come out. And then I just did a walkthrough of the new my new to me Shadowscapes, the Czech edition. This is a larger cardstock, and it's gilded. And this was, in the video I talk about how this is my, this was the first deck I had after my traditional Rider-Waite, you know, Podback Rider-Waite. And it just opened, you know, it's like so nostalgic. I was like, oh my gosh, the Shadowscapes Tarot was the tarot deck that opened up a whole new world for me, and being able to like find new meanings in the cards, and really just go deep with the card, you know, go deep and really get comfortable like expressing, you know, like feeling new meanings and messages with the cards, and just opening up a whole new world. But like that world card is so beautiful. So yeah, the Czech version, I found this one on eBay. It is different cardstock. I'm hoping, it feels like it's got a nice protective layer, you know, like a smooth glossy to it, and it shuffles really well, shuffles smoothly, and it's gilded, and it's larger, so you can actually see the details. You can see the details, and I just did a tarot spread for myself in the kitchen, and it's like, oh, I was like, oh gosh, this makes, just having the larger size, you know, it didn't even have to be gilded, just a larger card stock. And it's not like it's large, but it's not difficult to handle. That's a beautiful backing. But I will say, if you already have the Llewellyn English version, and if you want to get the Czech version, go for it. The majors are numbered, the minors are not, so if you don't know the cards, you might need to like memorize the cards. But they do have all the symbols for the, like, so this is 7 of Pentacles, there will be seven, you know, like fruits, you know, so you can count to find out. I'll say that, but then this is the 10 of Swords. I don't know if it has, I'm not going to count them, but 10 birds. But either way, look at that. Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, you'll have to know the deck, but it's so beautiful, right? It's gorgeous. And look at this 10 of Pentacles. So there's that. I'm very excited. Shadowscapes. I haven't seen that deck in so long. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so special to have it back again. So got you guys on my tripod. or got myself on the tripod. Hold on. All right, and then I did a walkthrough of this. The story cards. This is by Kathy Nichols. She's on Etsy. I fell in love with her artwork a while back, and this is a huge deck. It is 70 card oracle deck with her artwork. And can we say how gorgeous? Look at that. She's from Asheville, North Carolina, and if anyone's ever been, that point, and I talked about that in the video, in the review or walkthrough. I was just like, I love the whole vibe of Asheville, and you know, I don't know if she's from there or not, but I was like, an artist who, if she's in Nashville and she's making this gorgeous artwork, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised there's like a connection, just, you know, like how much I love that place, and therefore I love Kathy Nichols' art. It's like, I am not surprised. And Mystic. But yeah, this is a gorgeous deck, decent cardstock, very like sturdy, hardy, can withstand my shuffling. And setting sail. Yeah, it has been beautiful, and I already have cards, you know, a couple cards that follow me over and over and over again. It's so funny how it works with, you know, especially our tarot and oracle decks. So I recommended that. It's definitely a favorite. It's an all-rounder. It's super beautiful. I couldn't resist. It had been on my wish list for a long time, but you can get that on Etsy. Kathy with a C, Kathy Nichols Art. And yeah, so those were not a bunch of tarot decks I've used. I ended up, like, all the readings I was doing for people the past month or two, it was also like Druidcraft. I love Druidcraft. I was just like, I stuck to like 3 main ones and, like, you know, 2 oracle decks. So I didn't really branch off. I just was like, you know, I just had a lot of first time people, and I was just, you know, I'm gonna stick to the basics, but I'm just, you know, there's so much juiciness out of the Star Tarot and the Lumina. Lumina's been amazing. That one's been my most heavily used for others all year long. It's like the standby, and then depending on the season or the question, it might change. So yeah. And I was going to also say, so I have not finished this book yet, but The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life is a spiritual minded book, and there's a volume 1, which is what this is, and a volume 2, and just like reading like the first chapter, I immediately went out and got the second volume. I was like, okay, I'm gonna need the second volume for this without even having to be, you know, finish this book first. So I was going to say, I already recommend it, even if you don't agree with all of it. It's like one of those books, it's worth, if you're feeling the vibe, you know, like wanting to go get another perspective on spiritual matters, especially with the, what is it? Well, I mean, like sacred geometry, if you weren't wanting to do that, as well as, what is the word I'm looking for? Tetrahedral. It talks about like ancient human history as well, and, sorry, I'm like, what is that word? I'm like having such a brain fart. The Seed of Life. What is it? I cannot think about it right now. But, sorry. So, we are not... Okay, well, either way, if you're wanting, if you haven't looked at it, I think it's worth it. I noticed there's lots of good reviews on Amazon for it, so I was like trying to think of the right word. Like, all the spiritual books I have been reading, even whether or not I ended up loving them or I was like, it's one of these books, like this book is just like all the others in the sense that it's going to help open your mind to new ways of looking at things, new perspectives on looking at things, and combining. I love the idea of combining. I was a science major in college, so I was like, I've always like, you know, come at it from, not that I don't feel like an analytical person, but, you know, like Like, I love the analytical, logical side of things, as well as the spiritual matters of, things that we're not totally fully aware of yet, or, at least in, mainstream that we're not aware of. So I love it when it combines like science and spirituality and history and geology. I'm such a nerd like that. So yeah, if anything, it's great for that, because it's like really to the point, but like, one chapter is like, oh, holy crap, I'm looking at the world in a totally new light. So I recommend it for that. And another thing is, in case anyone hasn't, I highly recommend Stranger Things. If you haven't seen it yet, Stranger Things 2 came out in October. Was it like Halloween weekend? I binge watched it in one afternoon. It was so good. Yeah, I love, I was gonna say it's a really good, if anyone who liked or used to like me, used to like scary movies, but you hated like all those treacherous, horrible endings to them, like these cliffhanger endings, it never resolves anything from the movie. Stranger Things isn't like that. It doesn't leave you hanging. Like, the episodes themselves will, end on a cliffhanger, but it's like that's traditional storytelling. But the overall seasons, they're really wrapped up nicely, so it doesn't leave you hanging, without a bow at the, like a nice big bow put on it at the end. So. For that alone, I recommend it if you're, not sure about like watching something kind of scary or dealing with scary things. It's a really cool way of looking at psychic abilities, and I don't know. I like it. It's a total nerd out session that guilty pleasure of mine. So yeah, Stranger Things, and I also want to talk about one more thing. I did Elise from Wild Moon Woman did a tarot reading for me a while back, and it was a lot of like ancestral stuff came up for me to like kind of like think about, meditate on, like kind of like explore. And I ended up doing that last month, and not really sure what kind of messages would come up for me. I was like, and it was like I'm basically just came into the idea that, okay, I'm willing to get a message, not really sure what kind of message I would get, just the idea of, like, just overall ancestral healing. What can I do to help heal myself that would benefit my ancestors and my future, my progeny? And one of the big messages, I'm just going to like share this in case it helps anybody else, because we all might have similar things that hold us back or weird blocks. And I don't know if you ever heard, but like you were told as a child that it's like, hey, you should be remember to be grateful for what you have, because like we had it so much worse, or your grandparents had it so hard. You should be really grateful for what you have. And as I know, there's like the intention behind saying those things is very beneficial. It's a good intentions, but it just I didn't realize it was doing this to me. But as a child, hearing that, it just made me feel guilty that I didn't have it as hard as my ancestors, or even my grandparents, or even further, more distant ancestors, much less just basically worrying about like my grandparents had it hard. Who am I to deserve to have it better than they did? I had this weird guilt block around that. I was like, the message I got was for like, as whether like seeing yourself as an ancestor in your future progeny, it's like me moving past that, allowing myself to enjoy life to the fullest, allowing myself to be, to allow myself to heal any wounds that need to be healed, or any negative self-limiting beliefs, allowing myself to heal those, because by me breaking that chain of, oh, you don't deserve to have a good life, like because someone in your past had it hard, you don't deserve it. Who are you to deserve it? You don't deserve to be happy. And like having that hold myself back, allowing myself to embrace the idea that, okay, I can make, if I allow myself to have the happiest life that I could possibly imagine, or allow myself to have a life, have my reality, have the dream version of my reality come to me, or have good things, allowing myself to receive that beautiful life. And just the permission, like it's okay, like my ancestors would be saying like, you need to do this because you breaking that that cycle of guilt or feeling like you need to perpetuate difficult life situations is only holding all of us back. It's holding your ancestors back. It's holding any future descendants back because you refuse to break that cycle. And so for what it's worth, I mean, I know you can, like, sometimes I hear things, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I know. But then sometimes I'll hear it just in a slightly different way and it gets to me. I'm like, oh, that's what you mean. Okay. So I just have to share in case anyone else is having weird issues like that. Like, oh, you don't deserve to have a job that you love because, well, your dad or your mom couldn't, or your grandparents couldn't, or whatever. It's like, or you don't deserve to make, like having a well-paying job, or you don't deserve to have, a happy life because, no one else in your family did, or even the idea of like, if you're the first person in your family to go to college, you might hear like, it's like, you know how lucky you are, right? It's like, yeah, I'm lucky, but it made me feel guilty for being blessed. Now, I'm not the first person in my family to go to college, but, I can imagine it's like that same sort of guilt, like, I don't deserve this, it's like, it hit my self-worth. So if anyone else has their self-worth hit, just know that you breaking past that boundary that you have set, it's helping your entire, like, so just think of it as like it's healing your DNA, which crosses all time and space. It heals all the lineage, heals all timelines. Like, just you seeing it from a new light, allowing yourself to go beyond preset boundaries of what you think you deserve or don't deserve. So anyway, all right. And also, if you need a tarot reading, I'm going to be doing a new offer for business, like a tarot-led business strategy, but I'll do a proper, like a probably Instagram post, or I'll make a proper announcement for that. But I am going to be offering for the next 2 months a special on like an hour-long session dealing with for business related questions and using tarot for that. But if you need to find me for a tarot reading, you can DM me on Instagram at the Luna Celeste, or go to my Etsy site, the Luna Celeste, and I have some readings available through there as well. And I would be happy to read for you. And yeah, so I hope that covers everything. There's been so much, so I know I can't get it all through, but if there's anything else that you guys would like me to cover, I would be happy to explore any other options that you guys might have questions about. I love doing tarot reviews. Like, I like any excuse to get a new tarot deck or oracle deck just to show you guys and go through it. But yeah. So anyway, I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas and enjoy the rest of the end of the year. And I'll do some more videos on more tarot and oracle. But if there's anything specific you guys want me to cover, I'd be happy to. So